Hi, I'm Ray Maxwell, and if you have a digital camera and a macro lens, I'm going to show you a very quick way to copy all those old slides today on the lab.
Good to see you. Welcome. It's time for The Lab, the show where we explain how computers, technology, the internet, cell phones, home theater, all that stuff works. I am Leo Laporte. This is the lovely Kate Abraham.
Hello.
Kate. How are you?
I'm
Episode
well, thank you.
170. Ray Maxwell is going to do something that I've been dying to find out how to do, how to get those slides. Do you remember carousels? Those and you'd have slideshows.
Yes.
You're probably too young. You actually remember that?
Yeah, I don't know if I remember them, but I know of them. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, we have a bunch of them with all my old family photos from when I was a kid. And, you know, you'd have slideshows. It was really fun. But nowadays, you really want to get them onto the computer. Ray's going to show us a quick way to do it, not scanning. Better. Also, Brian Johnson and Mark Stevenson are here. There is a new movie coming out later this year called Edison and Leo.
Yep.
Like the name, it's all stop motion. In fact, it's the first feature film made in Canada using stop motion. We're going to show you how they did it.
It looks amazing.
It's really cool. They use a standard digital still camera. Not a film camera.
Okay.
We'll find out more. Our web workshop is coming up. Susie Gardner will be here. But the key, the most important part of this show is those callers you've lined up for me. Let's get our first caller on right now.
We have Tyler from Guelph, Ontario.
All right, thank you. Hello, Tyler.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
How can I help you today?
I have a question about my Mac Mini. I want to get my movies and watch like YouTube videos on my TV.
Yeah, a Mini is a really, actually a good solution for that. It's kind of like an Apple TV on steroids because it's got the whole computer, right?
Yeah. But the quality on my TV, it's not HD. It's not really that great. So I'd like to be able to surf around on my monitor, and then it'll be able to show on my TV.
So you want two outputs. Your computer, when you're using it as a computer, would be on a monitor, but then when you want to watch TV, you could switch it over and put it on the TV.
Yeah.
The Mac Mini has two kinds of outputs, an analog VGA output and an analog DVI output. What kind of inputs does your TV have?
Analog.
Yeah. Does it have, how old is it? I mean, it probably just has that composite, the yellow composite cable, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so what we've got to do is figure out a way to get the DVI output from the Mac Mini into something that your television could connect to. And actually, Apple sells such a thing. A number of companies do. But this is probably the best way to do it. It's their DVI to video adapter. Yeah. It's just a little plug. You can see right here. Now, the problem is, you know, you're going to hook it up. You see it's got the composite out, which is exactly what you want. You're going to hook it up to your TV. It also has an S-video output, so if your TV is, if you're lucky, that would be a better quality if you use the S-video. And that just hooks up to your Mac Mini, to the DVI port on your Mac Mini, and boom, you've got it. Now, you're going to have to either get a switch. That's only 19 bucks, by the way. You're either going to have to get a switch or physically plug and unplug this to be using your monitor, and then your, let me think if there's a way that you could use your monitor. You could get, I'm not sure I'd want to spend the money on this, but if you wanted to, you could get from IO Gear or another company a KVM switch. A KVM switch is designed to allow, now let's see, this is kind of reverse KVM though. Normally a KVM, you have a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and multiple computers. You have a single computer and you want to switch back and forth between monitor and computer. All right, Sean, I give up. Help me here. How could he switch? Is there a switch that would switch back and forth from DVI?
I was thinking about how you do that. I was thinking about whether you could just flip the KVM switch around and use it in reverse.
That's what kind of was, I guess, where I was going with that, but that doesn't sound right.
The one thing I was thinking of, and it's probably more expensive than it would be worth, is we looked at a product from Matrox called Triple Head to Go a while ago. You plug it into the one DVI output, and you can spread it onto two different monitors.
Sure, yeah.
But you know, you're talking a couple $100s to do this, so it's not cheap.
Yeah, here's a $300 DVI splitter. Yeah. Problem is when you're splitting digital, you need something a little higher quality than splitting analog. But that's $300. I think, Tyler, you're probably going to be just doing it by hand. Because basically, here's a $19 cable. You unplug your DVI cable, you plug that in, and then it's plugged into the TV. I think that's probably the easiest way to go. You don't want to spend $300 on a splitter to do that. That'd be crazy. Crazy talk.
Yeah, and the one thing about using that adapter as well is it will lower the quality that you'll see on your screen. So if you're using your Mac Mini, you have it at fairly high resolution, you have to change your resolution. Otherwise, it's going to look really lousy as well.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. Well, it's not going to look very good anyway because you're using a standard definition monitor, but at least you'll be able to see it. Then you're exactly right, Tyler. That's why you don't want to use it for computing because it's not going to be good enough to to do word processing or surfing. You probably want to set it to 800 by 600. Before you use it. But hey, it's $19. Apple sells it. It's the DVI to video adapter, and it's exactly to do what you want to do. Okay?
Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Take care. I like simple, inexpensive solutions to problems like this. Ray Maxwell's coming up with a great, simple, inexpensive, and better yet, fast way to convert those old slides into digital images. I can't wait to find out because I've got a ton of them I've got to convert. Coming up as the lab continues, you stay right here. Welcome back to the lab. You remember these slides? I've got a lot of these. Mostly great family pictures I don't want to lose. I'd love to get them on the computer, but the way I've been doing it is painfully slow. I bought a scanner. They're not very expensive. I think it was an Epson Perfection 1670s, a couple $100, even less. Right. Has a little slide holder. You can do 5 at a time. Takes about 2 minutes to do 5 slides. Well, Ray has a much better solution because this is going to take me the rest of my life to convert my thousands of slides. This is using your digital camera to do this.
That's right.
Okay.
Now this happens to be a Canon 5D, but it could be any digital camera.
Okay. The better the camera, the better the image.
Well, I'm going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Because people kind of go overboard on that part.
You don't need to. Okay.
You don't need to, and I'll explain why. Then you need either a bellows or an extension tube or a macro lens that can go down to cover the area of a slide. I started to say 1-to-1, but that assumes that the format of the digital camera is full 35 millimeter.
Which it is on this 5D, but most cameras it is not.
That's right. So you need to be able to use extension tubes or magnification to the point that you can cover the entire slide.
Okay, so the idea is that when I take a picture of this, it should be exactly to fill the frame.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So then the next thing is you need a slide holder.
All right.
And I have one that's an old Nikon that I had with my Nikon F. And I've put in a NovaFlex adapter here. And this is a Nikon macro lens. And connected it to my 5D. So it's a kludge, all right?
Yeah, but you're going to do it once.
Yeah,
and you're going to go through a lot of pictures.
But you can get a Nikon 990.
Yeah.
And it'll do a macro, and all you need is a slide holder.
So if you had the right lens, you can do the macro right. Now, the other problem with this, and this is why you can't just use a plain old scanner, is that you don't bounce light off of this. You have to shine light through it. So how are we going to get a light source on the other end of the lens here?
2 ways to do that. Here, I have this remote cable that lets me put my flash down here, and there is a white screen here behind
the slide holder has an opaque translucent
to
screen
diffuse that, and this with this cable, this is TTL, so this thing will turn the flash off almost instantly. It uses very little power because I'm shooting right into it.
Oh, okay.
So you can get thousands of slides on one charge of your flash.
That's excellent.
Okay. Now, if you don't have this cable, the other way to do it is mount the flash on the camera and put a white card out here.
Oh, yeah, flash and bounce it off.
Bounce it off. And again, TTL.
All right.
Now, it'll run your battery down quicker.
Right. That's fine.
That's fine.
All right, so I've got this kind of crazy Rube Goldberg setup here. Yeah. Now what?
Now then, all you have to do is this holds the slide, so I put in the slide, and I can actually fire it from the camera.
Now I see you have your USB connection going into the computer.
Yeah, and I'm going directly into the computer, and now here's the slide up on the computer.
Now this is Canon software that lets you do this.
Yes,
many cameras can do this.
And as far as I know, all of them.
Yeah.
So you have a stack of slides now.
How good is the image quality going to be here?
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
A lot of people say, well, Ray, what resolution should I scan at?
Right.
Now, if I was scanning at the full 12 megapixels of this, or, by the way, I'm shooting RAW, and I've got it set to produce a 6 megapixel image.
So you're not using the highest quality?
No.
Why not?
Because at 6 megapixels, I can see the grain.
Oh, you're already higher resolution, in other words, in the image itself.
Right.
So you don't need more image.
I've heard people say, oh, I scan all my slides at 4,000 DPI. And I said, you image the grain very well.
You get a lot of grain.
Yeah.
So, all right, so that's interesting. So this is about a 6-megapixel image, in other words.
That's Ray Maxwell's personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've heard that said 6 or 7 megapixels for a standard 35 millimeter negative.
But I've seen people, 22 megapixels or,
Well, and it's true. On a scanner, you're tempted to use much higher resolutions when you scan it. So we don't want to see the grain. I mean,
well, certainly when you see the grain going further,
there's no point in going any further.
Got it.
It's not to hide the grain. It's just that you're not going to get any more quality than you're getting at that point.
Right.
So here's some of the images you've taken.
Yeah.
Now, nice advantage of shooting it raw is you can color, you can white balance and stuff like that.
Look how quickly I can do this.
That's the real advantage of this. This is fast. As quickly as it takes. I mean, it.
Click.
It's much faster than trying to scan these.
Yeah. So I can just, and they're going right into my thing. You can set with the utility whether you put it on the flash card or not. I'm just going right into the computer.
Why not? Yeah. So let's take a look at some of the images. I just want to see how high quality these are.
All right. Now this was on a. Now, by the way, I didn't clean all my slides.
That's another thing you'd want to do is clean them a little bit.
Clean all your slides.
With a brush, would you use a?
Yeah. This is the Lauterbrunnen Valley in Switzerland from a helicopter.
Wow.
And a number of years back.
That looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like it needs much processing.
No, it can use a little, but.
But you've got it in there. You've already got it in Photoshop. You've got it in Bridge. So it's very easy for you to do any correction you need to do. A lot of times Ektachrome is a little...
It'll take a second to produce the high res.
The white balance on Ektachrome is a little off sometimes. So this is actually an opportunity to make that picture look better, frankly.
There it snapped into focus.
That is beautiful.
But
how much would you say if I had to start from scratch? Let's say I already have a pretty good SLR. Like maybe I have an SLR like Sean's got, the Canon Rebel XTI.
If you have the SLR and a macro lens that'll cover the area of a slide, then all you need is a slide holder. Okay. And I've seen them at B&H for like $120.
Okay, it's not bad. So comparably priced. If you don't have a macro lens, you might have to get one. But they're good to have for pictures of bees and flowers.
Exactly.
And stuff like that.
Right.
All the details on what you would need to make this work online at our website, labwithleo.com. Ray's website is maxwellmultimedia.com. And he swears to us he's going to put lots of stuff up on there.
I'm working on it.
That's fine. That's fine. Maybe put some of these pictures. They're pretty incredible. All right, now, speaking of macros, let's see what Sean Carruthers has done with his macro lens. It's a close-up of something you'd commonly find around the lab. What could that be? Very abstract. These are also abstract. I can't figure it out. Well, I'll tell you what. Think about it. We'll zoom out and find out when the lab continues in just a bit. Welcome back to the lab. Before the break, we took a look at this. Something commonly found around the lab. I have no idea what that is. What is it? It's a Seagate free agent. I think that's their little hard drive, right? Their standalone hard drive. Well, golly, I would have never got that. Sean's so good with that macro lens. Now, that's why you want to get a macro, so you could do things like that.
Really, really close.
It's really neat when you get close. It's very abstract and beautiful.
Kind of freaky as well.
Yeah, speaking of freaky, let's talk to our next caller.
Okay, we're going to Millers Point, New South Wales, and this is Steve.
I'm just teasing. Hi, Steve. How are you today?
Not bad, thanks, Blair. Yourself?
I'm great. Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
I've just got a quick question regarding backing up. I'm at the point now where I'd like to put the recovery discs into my laptop and reset that back to original edition condition when it came.
Right.
Should I do a complete backup to an external hard drive, or should I just back up certain folders?
That's a great question. In fact, you don't want to back up the entire drive, because that's the whole point of doing the recovery, right? Is that you're kind of going to start from scratch and start over. So what you really don't want is Windows or any of the applications, but you do want your data. So the question is, if I'm going to back up my data, what am I going to back up of my data? On Windows, my suggestion, this is kind of the easiest thing to do, is depending on how much storage you have, just back up the Documents and Settings folder, because that has the entire home account of every login. So that's probably the easiest way to get, the whole point of this backup is to get any data that you created that you don't have a copy of. So most of the time, that data goes in the system in a system folder called Documents and Settings. Here I'm looking. Are you Windows XP?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking at Windows XP. Let me show you how we get there. So we go to the C drive, and you'll see right there in the root directory, Documents and Settings. That's the folder you want. I'll show you what's in here. Users and me, my account. And so that means my desktop's in there, my documents is in there, my start menu. Now, if you've been saving, let's say, your iTunes music into a folder other than My Music, let's say you're saving on a D drive or something, then you're going to have to back that up from that location. But if you've been doing the default, which is to put all your music in My Music, put all your pictures in My Pictures, put your your start menus here, your favorites, all of that stuff is being backed up. This is shared documents and so forth. All of that stuff is going to be backed up if you back up the documents and settings. There are some programs, games often do that might store stuff in the program files folder. And so a hidden folder also. So if you have, you might want to look through the programs. For instance, Quicken used to sometimes back up its data inside the Quicken folder. Your email may be backed up inside a folder inside of the Microsoft folder. So there's some things you might want to look around for, but generally Documents and Settings is all I ever back up, because that's going to give me everything I need. You're doing the system recovery because you want to get everything back to the way it was. As soon as you do that, though, before you even restore this data, I would make sure you run Windows Update and run it until it's completely done. It's got all the critical updates. It's very important for your security. And then you can start restoring your other data. Okay?
Will do.
Yeah, because if you backed up your, for instance, your Windows, if you wanted to be really safe, backup program files and get a lot of storage, just in case something was stored there. But if you don't want to back up Windows, and you really don't want to back up your programs, that's the whole point of doing this recovery. Good luck. I think this is actually a good thing to do. I do this on a periodic basis. I actually create my own recovery disks. What I'll do is when I first install Windows and get my applications installed, get all the drivers right, get everything just the way I like it, then I make an image backup, and that's the one I restore. It's my personal system recovery disk because it's got everything that I know that I'm going to want on there. And I know I haven't done anything that I could have infected it or got any spyware. I appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
Take care, Steve. Let's take a walk over to see what Sean's got. He's always got something shiny and fun to play with. I think I recognize that. That's an iPhone.
You should recognize it. It's yours.
It's my iPhone.
It's your iPhone.
But wait a minute. There's something special and different about it. It's wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, that's just that's not something that we're.
That's not what we're going to talk about. I have to say though, you put that Ultimate skin on.
Yeah, it was one of the bodyguards. So it was.
Yeah.
It's
I
nice,
think that's good. I feel good that you're taking good care of my cell phone. Well, what is our shiny for today? That's not that. It's not the Ultimate Guard. What is it?
Well, one of the big problems with the iPhone in terms of headphones, you can't use your good quality headphones.
I know. It's very frustrating because it has this extra deep 3-ring plug socket.
Right. Yeah. Now, in the past, we've shown off an adapter. But how about a proper set of headphones that actually will fit into there?
Hallelujah. Wouldn't that be nice? Look at that. So it's got that 3-prong plug that I can use.
So it's got a microphone. It's got the skinny connector on the end here so that you can actually fit it into the recessed plug that's on the iPhone.
There's the microphone. It even has the button so you can go to the next song or pick up the phone.
Right. So this is
great.
This is from V-Moda. It's called the Duo.
The V-Moda Duo.
And it's Duo because it's both headphones and microphones. So
very cool.
They're isolation headphones, metal design, very, very attractive. Come in a number of different colors, so you can customize that to your taste as well.
And how much are these?
About $100. It says 101, which seems like some sort of weird conversion thing.
Yeah.
But
it's not a bad price if they're good headphones. Do they sound pretty good?
The sound is pretty good. Why don't you try it out?
All right, I shall here. I can't put it in that air, but I'll.
All right, well, we'll fire it up.
I use the Shure adapter that you were talking about before, and that works pretty well to use my Automotics headphones.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a little bit bulky.
It is bulky, and you've got a lot of string going. Oh, this sounds very good. Well, these are good headphones.
Right, and on this microphone adapter, it's got the little button as well, so you can switch.
If I press it once, it pauses the music. If I press it twice, it goes to the next song, and it works. So sure does.
That's what you need to do, and I said the audio quality is pretty good.
Yeah.
Their isolation, not quite as in the ear as the Shures or the Automotics might be.
No, these sound really good.
But they are still pretty good.
I'm pretty happy with that, actually. Thanks very much. It was nice of you to give me this for my iPhone.
No
you giving this back to me?
I guess so.
No, it's okay. Our pros and cons.
Well, there you go. It is compatible without the adapters, thankfully. And it's got great sound, and the construction is really nice. The dull, those little ear flanges, they come off fairly easily, and they are pricey compared to the usual earbuds that you'll get.
Oh, but you know, you got to pay $100 if you want decent headphones. You can't get good headphones for less than that.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, that last dull that I've got there, because it's got the three the bands there, it
you can't use it in other things.
You can in some, but not in everything. I tried using this in the airplane, and all I heard was.
Yeah. No, it's really designed for the iPhone. Or you could use it on a BlackBerry. There are other phones. Nokia sometimes have the special 3-ring prong. Hey, that's nice. I like those. Those are good. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back in just a little bit. Stop motion is our topic. Edison and Leo, a new feature-length stop-motion film made in Canada, and we're going to see how they did it. But first, our quick quiz question of the day. Are you ready? What's the name for a device that converts one kind of energy into another? Is it a resistor, altimeter, transducer, or flux inhibitor? I don't know. Think about that. We'll talk about it a little later on as the lab continues. Welcome back to the lab. We are here with Brian Johnson, Director of Photography for Edison and Leo. Which one's you, Brian?
I'm Brian.
And then who are you?
I'm Mark.
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
You're
meet
not
you.
on my list here. I don't know who you are.
I'm the co-producer.
Oh, that's great. Nice to meet you. So they're with Jumbo Dynamo Pictures Limited, which produced a brand new movie, which is going to be out in the fall, called Edison and Leo, and it's the first, I'm told, full feature stop-motion picture from Canada.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
It is a first. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Why, Mark, did you decide to do stop-motion?
The story is very creative. You know, it's a period piece, and we were able to get a fantastic kind of look and feel.
It's a nice vintage feel.
Yeah, it's a vintage feel. It's magic realism. You know, so it's you know, it's a nice piece, and stop motion lends itself to that kind of.
Do you think because we're seeing so many CGI animated films now that there's kind of a certain appeal to things like this, an older form of animation?
Yeah, absolutely, and stop motion is really coming up now. There's going to be several movies coming on the horizon, and they all use that real analog feel, and people like that. It's artistry, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, of course, and Wallace and Gromit have been very successful.
Yes, one of the best. Yeah.
Now, I think they use more like a claymation.
They use claymation. That's right.
You're using, and this is Edison. You're using something that's more like a puppet.
This is more of a puppet. It has a stainless steel skeleton within it, and then we use a foam latex on the body, and then the head is actually like a hard resin.
And the animator can easily manipulate this to give Edison expressions, positions, and so forth.
The mouths actually, sort of a fun part of it, the mouths actually come right out. So you can...
I just had a bad dream.
you can change the mouths and different expressions.
Oh, that's funny.
Eyebrows, eyelids.
That's really great.
That sort of thing.
What fun. So, Brian, you were tasked with turning this into a movie. Uh-oh, Edison's falling over. We need the animator, quick. Did you ever consider doing this with a film camera, or was it always the idea to do it with a still camera?
No, it was always the plan to go with the digital SLRs.
Is this pretty well known? I mean, how to do this, or did you have to invent a lot of stuff?
It's been done. It's been done before. Some of the Burton films have been shot. This way.
Sure. Nightmare Before Christmas, and yeah. So you kind of could see what others have done ahead of you.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, you know, it's always different, right? You're always faced with different challenges on every project. So
how did they do it before they had digital photography?
Well, they did it
cameras?
with
film cameras.
No, they use film cameras.
Wow.
Yeah. They use motion picture cameras.
They have to develop it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is much easier, and in fact, it's much higher resolution, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We're capturing the raw format files here, so they're 4K.
With a Canon 5D.
Yeah.
4K is twice high def.
Yeah, and then we down convert to high def.
That's very cool. So you actually had to do a whole workflow with software and everything. Is this what the animator would see, the screen the animator would be looking at?
This is the screen that the animator would be interacting with generally. They expose the frame there.
That's it. Just press that capture button.
Yeah.
And now we got to move Edison a little bit and capture it again.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is a program called Frame Thief. That's a pretty common.
Frame Thief. Okay.
Yeah, within stop motion.
Okay.
And the great thing about this software is they can actually be much more precise in the animation than they could have in the past, because they're capturing each movement, so they can actually scroll through what they've done already.
They can see it in a way. Yeah,
exactly. And that's how they're also, by the way, syncing to the audio. They'll import the audio into here.
Oh, wow.
And then each mouth represents an expression
So they hear the vowel and they say, "Oh, I need the A mouth."
They scroll to the point where the audio is going "p," and they put on the expression. That
now you finished principal photography. We have some pictures from the production though that we can see of the animators at work and the setting. Wow, it's so cool. Right. It's just so cool. I just think this is really neat that you could do this. Now I notice you're not using a Canon lens. You got a Nikon lens on there.
That's
What's that all about?
Well, we realized that the actual EOS lenses that are made
the autofocus stuff,
the auto aperture, the electronic aperture was actually giving us very minute amounts of flicker.
Well, you can't have that. You've got to have it be. So this is a manual lens.
It's a completely manual lens.
Wow, and so you got an adapter to fit it onto the Canon.
Yeah, exactly the same adapter that your previous guest had. Interestingly.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Now, and tell me about this lens. How long is it? And,
that's a 55 macro.
Okay, that's kind of what you want, right? You just want it to look like what the eye sees.
We used a lot of different lenses. Would you move in and out
with the camera? Would you actually reposition?
We had a number of motion control systems. We also would occasionally do it the old-fashioned way.
By hand.
Put it on like some sort of sliding surface, and just the animator would just slowly push the camera in.
Wow, that's really amazing. So now, when people are doing this at home, they're probably not going to be using a Canon 5D, but you could use an inexpensive digital camera. There's programs like iStop Motion that allow you to do this pretty much kind of the same thing. Some tips for home users about lighting, things like that? What should they be aware of?
Well, one thing that we actually had to deal with was fluctuation of electricity from the mains.
It has to be exactly the same, doesn't it?
That's right.
So if the lights go, I mean, you wouldn't notice it on this set if the power went down a little bit, but you would notice it in a film.
Over an 8-hour day.
Hours, right? So. At the time when people get home from work and they start their ovens,
everything goes down.
The
wow, that's something to be aware of.
So it's important to just try and keep isolate your electricity.
Yeah.
You could use a UPS or something.
We have some video. Could we just see a little bit of just what it's going to look like? Because this is pretty slick. I can't wait to see this movie. And I do like the retro feel of it, Mark. I mean, I think that's what's really fun about it.
I think it's important, and almost everything is hand built, so it's a lot of painstaking work.
So these are all hand built models.
Everything's hand built.
1/6 scale. Is that what you were using?
Right.
Yeah.
Who told you to stop?
And this is, of course, using our motion control system.
The cameras, and almost like it's on a crane, but of course it can't be because this probably took 8 hours to shoot.
This took 2 weeks.
Okay, all right, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And you remember every day of those 2 weeks, Mark.
I do, yeah.
Wow, look at us racking the focus and everything. That is a neat effect.
Edison has stolen the Book of Light.
My sister's after him.
You record, I imagine, like most animation, the voices beforehand. That's the first thing you do.
Yeah.
Got him here now.
It is a neat effect, especially after we've seen Toy Story and all of these computer-generated. To see something that's clearly real world. But let me ask you a question, Mark and Brian. Now that you've finished this movie, are you ever going to do stop motion again?
You better.
Yeah, well, we've learned a lot. I mean, it's been quite a process, and trying to start an industry, within British Columbia, and
so you will.
different parts of Canada. So yeah,
It'd be a shame not to.
Yeah,
really.
Your animators survived, and
they did survive. Yeah.
She's not in that crazy house going. Ah! It's really amazing the effort and the amount of work and labor that goes into this, but the result is so good, and I think it's just so cool that you're using basically consumer cameras and lenses to make this work with a lot of extra professional software help. Brian and Mark are with Jumbo Dynamo Pictures Limited. Watch for Edison and Leo. It'll be, what do you think, the fall?
It'll be the fall, yeah.
Great.
Sometimes, it feels like a Christmas movie, so.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, and I can't wait to see it. I'm going to bring everybody I know to Edison and Leo. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Leo.
More of your calls coming up. You stay right here.
Hey, welcome back to the Lab with Leo. I'm Kate Abraham, and now it's time for my tip of the day. And this is a great tip for anybody who ever tries to collaborate a document with other people and get their feedback without having to phone them and pester them. It's called approver.com. It's a completely secure site that allows you to share documents online. It's a great little site to use. It's brand new, and what you can do is you can share documents without having to worry about the security. And the great thing is, once you've logged in, you have the option of creating a document, uploading an original already on your computer, and what you can do from here is obviously then track this document. So, for instance, I've actually uploaded a document and sent it on to Matt Harris. And what he has done, I can see from here, that he has actually said, yes, he's approved this document. Now, the cool thing is, once you've uploaded it, the site routes it to everybody who needs it. You can set deadlines as well using this little calendar feature here, and you can keep track of approvals and comments. And the good thing is it works with Office, Adobe PDF, and OpenOffice as well.
That's a kind of neat system. What's that called again?
It's approver.com.
Approver.com.
Yeah, and the good thing is, like, people obviously, you can always track whether people have looked at it or not.
Right.
So
they can't modify the document, but they can approve it.
You have two options. They can either approve it or they can actually modify it.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
A great way to kind of collaborate on documents.
And keep track of those people as well.
Oh, I like it.
So you can work the finger if they haven't been looking.
Yeah, you didn't read my document. Exactly. What's the story here?
Work that finger.
So let's get another person on the show. Who do you have for me?
We have Jonathan from Burlington, Ontario.
All right, thanks, Kate. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm good.
Wow, you're tall. I'm looking up at you, you know. Mm-hmm. What can I do for you?
I kind of got a new computer. I kind of got a new computer recently.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, I built it myself and everything, and I was just wondering. I just wanted to know what's the safest way to overclock it and the most efficient.
You know, nowadays you don't hear about people overclocking as much as they used to, because processors, frankly, are so fast that there seems to be less need. You know, it's a thing a hobbyist would do. And also, the truth is that the great chips of yesteryear that were so overclockable have kind of disappeared. So let me tell you to everybody what overclocking is. It's running a computer faster than it's supposed to be. So if you have a chip that's supposed to run at 2.6 gigahertz and you run it at 2.8 or 3 gigahertz, it's running it faster. There are pros and cons to this. The pro, of course, is you get more power, more speed out of your computer. The cons are it can be less reliable. And in fact, you can only push it so far before the computer just gets all sorts of weird crashes and oddball behavior. It just isn't reliable. Cooling is very important. If you're going to overclock, you've got to make sure you've got excellent cooling, because it will run much hotter, and the cooling system that your computer is set up for may not be able to handle that extra heat. My strong suggestion, if you want to do this, it's funny, I mean, it's bringing me back, because we haven't talked about this in ages. Used to talk about it all the time on the show. Is overclockers.com. Reviews, tips, techniques, and this is really one of the most valuable parts of overclockers.com is the CPU database. Looks like it hasn't been updated since 2005, but at least it can give you, maybe this isn't the place to go anymore. Maybe this is a dead site. Now that cracks me up. But it kind of tells you what I've been saying, which is people have kind of stopped doing this. Here it is. So you can look at, you can look at different processors and see which ones are the most overclockable and which speeds they're able to get to it. You know what? This site is gone. This site is no longer alive. Now I'm sad. Now I'm sad. I wonder if there is a database anymore. Let me search for an overclock database, because that's what you want to find out is what chip you've got and how fast it can go reliably, and what other people's experience have been. So I did do a little search, and I see that sysopt, sysopt.com, has something like that, a database of overclocking stats. Currently looks like the older Pentium 4s are the most overclockable. Now, I don't think you can really get it to 32.6 gigahertz. that doesn't sound right. I may not trust that particular person. They talk about which motherboards and so forth. Here's a Conroe overclocking database. Conroe is a more recent processor, a Core 2 processor, I believe. So that's probably what I would do. What kind of processor do you have in there?
It's an AMD X2 4800.
Okay. So the other thing you could do is as I'm doing, which is Google overclock AMD X2 4800, and you could see what people are getting out of this when they overclock it. Here's an article on PC Stats that talk about it and what to do. I'd say cooling is the #1 thing. You want to make sure you have a really big heat sink, probably an active heat sink. Overclockers were the first to do water cooling for this very reason. They kind of were the pioneers in water cooling. Here's a good site. I would recommend AnandTech. AnandTech has an entire article on overclocking the 4200. So did you say 42 or 48?
It's the 4800.
Yeah, okay. So here's information on how to overclock it. Then they probably have some recommendations on how fast you can get it. You're not going to get, I'll be honest with you, you're not going to get more than 10 or 20% nowadays. Yeah, see, they're using a Thermaltake CPU cooler, which is a really good CPU cooler. You also want to remember, when you're overclocking, you're running your motherboard at a faster speed, so you have to upgrade your RAM. Some of your cards may not work as well. That's how you overclock, is by running everything, the motherboard, at a faster clock speed. So all of this can cause problems. It's interesting that you can actually looks like you can actually do this in software on some of the machines. You don't have to modify the BIOS. Have you overclocked lately, Sean?
No, I tend not to do that because the newer computers tend to be fast enough. And we've actually talked to some people who have overclocked, and they've actually fried machines. It's just not something you want to do lightly.
It's a hobbyist thing. It's like taking a car and souping it up. But nowadays, you just don't see people doing it as much. It used to be very popular back in the Celeron days. You could buy a really cheap chip and get it to perform as fast as a much faster chip. That's cool, but I don't recommend
that. Might be the way to go these days, is if you have an older chip that you want to make into a faster chip without spending the money.
Yeah, these were 900 megahertz chips that we were getting to run at 1.2 gigahertz. Now when you have 2-point-something gigahertz chips, you can't really expect to get much more speed out of that. They're just going to get way too, they're already very hot, and you're going to get way too much hotter. So that's my best advice to you, Jonathan, is that's what the internet's for. There's going to be somebody out there, but this is a good article on AnandTech that'll help you at least get started with some tips on overclocking. It's fun. It's kind of a trip back in time to even talk about that. Hey, let's take a walk over, and speaking of trips back in time, to Ryan Ewell, who lives in the past.
I do.
But always has his eyes pointed at the future.
Because back in the past, things were free. Now you got to pay for everything.
This is a very tiny type you've got here. What is this?
This is Text Wranglers for Mac. So
this is great. I know the guy who wrote this.
You don't need to know what's going on the screen here. I'll try to explain it because it's just going to be text.
It's a free text editor.
It's a text editor. And now you're not talking about bold or Arial fonts. This is strictly text.
No formatting at all.
But what you can do is, I've had problems where, let's say, you get an email and it's replied and it's got all these line breaks and they're not supposed to be there, right?
You can take them out.
You can do things like that. You can go into the text here and we can go rewrap quoted text, and I can just make the line breaks really long, rewrap it, and now boom, I can put that in a file that will wrap properly. It normally.
Right.
You can do things like search for duplicates, so I can go in here and I can go let's process duplicate lines, and it's going to tell me, okay, let's process that.
A lot of features.
And it's going to take out all the duplicate lines. So it just does a lot of different things that your normal text editor would not do.
This is the baby brother to BBEdit, which is kind of the definitive text editor for the Mac web designers use it. And it's actually really good for free.
There's lots of stuff going on here. I probably didn't do it half, 1/4, 1/10 justice.
You don't. No, you're not doing yourself justice. You did a great job.
I don't code web stuff, so I'm sure there's stuff in here like remove gremlins.
So cool. Remove gremlins is very useful.
I don't want to remove gremlins if I don't know what a gremlin is.
A gremlin is a non-printing type character in there that can cause havoc, can wreak havoc. You can't see it, it doesn't print, but it can be in there. It's not a bad thing to have. I use remove gremlins all the time.
Removes gremlins.
It's good to remove gremlins.
There you go.
Text Wrangler.
Yes, Text Wrangler for the Mac. This is
for the Mac only. Where would we find it?
Labwithleo.com. Go there. Free files, Jules, Text Wrangler. There's a lot of other stuff there.
That's the place.
Some fun stuff, some serious stuff. This is a more serious one.
Okay.
We got some fun stuff.
Right there.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Coming up in just a bit, we're going to tear apart a website. Some viewers sent in a website thinking we were going to be kind and gentle, but no. Susie Gardner's here. It's our web workshop. She's going to tear it apart, just decimate it, myrtleize it. Before we do that, though, one more chance to take our quick quiz question of the day. What's the name for a device that converts one type of energy into another? Is it a resistor, an altimeter, a transducer, or a flux inhibitor? I don't know. Do you? I'll tell you what, we'll come back and tell you when the lab continues right after this. Welcome back. Before the break, we asked you, what's the name for a device that converts one form of energy to another? Is that a transducer? I thought it was. That was a good guess. Transducer. Hope you got that right. flux inhibitor is how you go back to the future, I believe. Susie Gardner's here. Her new book's here, too. Blogging for Dummies 2.0. A reference for the rest of us if you are a blogger or want to be one. This is a great book to get you started. Hi, Susie.
Well, you can keep that one. That one's for you, Leo.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Everything I ever wanted to know. We'll keep it here. We'll keep it on a... See, we have a little bookshelf that we can...
Oh, it's too tall.
You know what? Either the bookshelf's too short or your book is too big.
I'll write to the publisher.
Too big! Susie is a creative director at Hop Studios, at hopstudios.com, and we bring her in to savage our viewers, and I think that's so nice of her to do that. No, we're not going to savage anybody.
Favorite part of the week.
So you've got somebody sent in it's the Miramichi Agricultural Exhibit. What is it?
It's a long name. It's
Miramichi?
the Miramichi Agricultural Exhibition Association.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing I'd do, change the name. Just my tip. It's the MAEAW.
Sure.
Whatever. So this is their site. It's an association site.
It is. Well, they do exhibitions. So if you were planning a big event, a big tech event, you could hold it here at the Miramichi Agricultural Exhibition Association.
Where is it?
You know what? I knew that. It's in Canada.
East Coast. Okay.
But
look at that big turkey.
But I don't know.
Oh, it's an X. It's kind of like the big X in Toronto, only it's the New Brunswick.
Yeah.
So let's see more about this here. What's wrong with this site? It looks beautiful to me. I especially like the giant chicken.
The giant chicken's cool, and I like the giant text. You know, you really can't miss what's important here.
It's big text.
Yeah.
Big text.
Well, you know, this isn't even so much a design thing, although it's related to the problem of the long name. The URL for this website is ex-one.com, which is, it doesn't have a whole lot of relationship to the name of the association. And in fact, I don't know if it's just me and I have a dirty mind or something, but it seems a little maybe possibly X-rated to me.
X1.
X1.
Yeah, also, when you put a number in the name, you have to spell it out, or you have to say the number one.
Well, and same with hyphens, you know, that's an easy thing to
confuse people, yep.
So I would suggest right away that they go looking for a domain name that includes at least some of the 4 words that are part of the name of the website right away.
Right.
And that's also going to actually help with search engine rankings, because that's an opportunity to get listed and to have an association. So I actually looked, and MiramichiAgricultural.com is available, and MiramichiExhibition.com, and MiramichiAssociation.com. So all of them are out there and available, and they could certainly look for those. Now, MAEA, I didn't check. I didn't bother, because those short ones are all taken.
No.
But
and I have to say, it's really important. A good name does a lot for you, and a good URL does a lot to help.
That just makes you easier to find.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
Number 1, I would do that. Number 2, there's no page titles on this site. Let me just show you. If I go to this is the About Us page. Usually, when you go to a web page, you'll see a title up here, and that tells you the title of the page that you're on.
This is something the browser takes from the HTML and will put up there. And that's important, because search engines look at that too. They give it a very high ranking.
Titles are a really great opportunity to get listed with words that are indicative of what's on the page. So you always want to have page titles, and they should be customized to the page. So it should say Miramichi Agricultural Exhibition Association. About us.
About us, yeah.
In the title.
You can see the problem on the tabs, too, because the tabs are all URLs, not titles.
Right.
And that's an easy thing to do. It's just bracket, title, bracket, the title, / bracket. I mean, it's an easy thing to do.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So I would say that's going to boost their ability to be found in the search engines right away if they just go in and add title tags. And it's, it's nice for the user as well.
Right.
The other thing I was interested by on this website, and the person who wrote in was kind of concerned and actually wrote off their efforts here as maybe being slightly amateur.
They felt going in
maybe it was a little amateurish. Okay. And you know what? I think maybe that's true, and maybe that's fine. This isn't a big polished, or at least this is the impression I get from reading over their materials. This isn't a big polished affair.
They're not selling web design services
this
after
is in New
all.
Brunswick, as you said, and so they're not trying to attract the big city slickers. They're trying to attract people who fit in this venue. So amateurish maybe, but that's fine. What I would change, though, is this big graphic right here at the top. It's really big, and there's a lot of space around it. Maybe on the home page, that's fine. But on these inside pages, I mean, that's a huge amount of real estate before you get down to any content. And so I would say make a smaller version of that or get rid of some of this white space.
You could put it in the red menus thing. If you made that a little taller, just put a little logo there, and then you have so much room on the space. On the
Definitely,
page.
and they've even tried to adjust for this. Some of these navigation items, when you put your mouse over there, you can see that it's linking to a file name and then a number sign, in this case, number sign bingo. And I've got that page open here, and that jumps you down past the big graphic.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah, they did it on purpose. So they obviously
they know there's
realize,
a problem.
that people want to get to the content a little faster. So I would say, don't worry too much about the amateurish feel, but definitely that's going to impact the usability of your site for your users.
I like the big chicken. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
That's
like
the it's an agricultural exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
It should look folksy, shouldn't it? I think. Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
And it's just simple things about being better, easier to find in Google, and making it easier for navigation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not about pro or am. Or design. That's really just simple, straightforward stuff.
Yeah, and I looked over the site. They've got all the information they need. They've got great features like photos and old photo albums, and all the information's here. They just need a few tweaks, I think.
I love the really big text. Whoa! Exclamation marks. How do you feel about exclamation marks? I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that page.
There's a few here, yeah.
We got some of those.
But that contributes to that folksy feel that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we won't say anything about that. Susie Gardner is. Thank you, by the way,
You're very
to the Miramichi. Well, I want to thank the Miramichi Agricultural Exhibition Association for letting us use you as a guinea pig. It's at ex-1one.com. You see the problem right there? Yeah. And I do thank you, Susie Gardner. Her new book, Blogging for Dummies, second edition, just came out. Look for it everywhere. It is published, of course, by the IDG Press. The For Dummies series are everywhere. And you can find her at hopstudios.com. Thank you, Susie. Susie, it's great to talk to you.
You too.
All right, a final word coming up in just a bit. You stay right here. Okay, now if we do a pronunciation workshop, they're going to savage me.
I get a lot of problems as well.
Yeah, it's Miramichi, I'm told.
Miramichi.
Miramichi? Are you from New Brunswick, Sean, or you just know that?
I just know that.
He's so smart.
Miramichi.
Why didn't you correct me?
I'm not going to shout at you.
It's Miramichi. Miramichi?
Miramichi.
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 Okay, we've said it now 800 times. That's probably enough.
You trust in the English guy?
I trust you implicitly.
I can't pronounce anything.
I trust you implicitly. So anyway, I apologize to the Miramichi Agricultural Exhibition for mispronouncing your name, and I hope you take this in good fun. Please. We're going to have a dead chicken in the it's not going to be pretty.
In your hotel room.
It's going to be terrible, terrible. Hey, we want to remind you, we'd love to have you on the show. I mean, this show really exists because of you, not just, your calls, but your submissions, participating in the web workshop, things like that. How can they get involved? Do we go to the website?
The website is labwithleo.com/tech questions. There's a form there. Fill that out. We'll then phone you and get you on the show, and we will solve that problem.
Well, we'll do our best.
We always do our
Please
best.
don't make promises I can't keep.
You can keep these. And also on the website, there are all the show notes as well. So if you miss anything with the content that happens during the show, just check out there and you'll see everything there as well.
Kate's blog.
Kate's blog.
Blogs of many of the people on the
Indeed,
show.
we also have the various segments from video.
Video, yeah.
Yep.
So you can go back and watch us mispronounce Miramichi over and over. Miramichi.
Miramichi.
Over and over again. I apologize.
It's
I
going
really
to come back
do.
and haunt you, you know
It
that.
is, I can tell. I'm going to end up someday in Miramichi and they're going to go, you were the one. I knew you were the one.
I mispronounced Wagga 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 one time. It's spelled Wagga Wagga.
It looks like Wagga Wagga.
It's Wagga 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 Wagga.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.